Hi everyone. Today we are walking through the Approved Supplier List or ASL feature we built in NetSuite for pharma and biotech companies. The FDA holds drug and medical device companies fully responsible for product quality and patient outcomes, even when multiple suppliers are involved. Ensuring every manufacturer, distributor, and facility remains GMP compliant is a critical and ongoing challenge. Our ASL solution simplifies this process by tracking which vendors are GMP certified, maintaining evidence of compliance, and managing annual recertifications. This ensures continuous FDA compliance, reduces regulatory risk, and keeps companies audit ready. This ensures we only purchase materials from approved manufacturers and their certified sites, a crucial requirement for meeting strict quality standards like GMP. It prevents the use of unapproved suppliers, verifies the source of every material, and helps the quality assurance team manage approvals. Whether buying directly from a manufacturer or through a distributor, the system keeps everything compliant and traceable. Let's dive into how it works. First, let's look at the vendor record where we store details about our suppliers. If the vendor needs to be GMP compliant, then the GMP compliant checkbox will need to be checked. This is the beginning of the verification process for vendors that are required to be GMP compliant. Here we also have the vendor type. This is a drop-down that identifies whether a vendor is a manufacturer or distributor, and it helps the system know how to check approvals when we create a purchase order. Once the vendor is saved, the supplier qualification button will appear at the top of the vendor record. The QA team can click this button, which will create the initial vendor qualification record for this vendor. The supplier qualification record will automatically include the year of the initial certification in the name field. With each annual subsequent certification, the year will update to the current year. The qualification type will need to be selected. The next field is qualification status. This shows if a vendor is pending, approved, conditional, blocked, or expired. Pending means the supplier qualification is pending review and approval. Approved means they're fully qualified and approved to use. Conditional means they're okay to use, but with some limits. Blocked means we cannot purchase from them. And expired means the certification for the vendor has expired. Next, we have the approval date and the expiry date. The expiry date field tells us when we need to re-audit the vendor to keep their approval active, and it triggers alerts to make sure we don't miss any reviews. These fields help us track which vendors are okay to use and when they need a quality check. This information is meant to be an overview of the status of the GMP vendor. Only your QA team can edit any of the fields in the vendor qualification record. You will notice if the qualification status is set to approved and the required documentation below has not yet been uploaded, then an error message will appear and you will not be able to save. In our configuration, we can designate any of the documents listed here as mandatory based on the qualification type. You'll see once I've selected the mandatory documentation, I have a pop-up asking me if I'd like to notify the QA owner or the vendor or both. Once the supplier qualification has been approved, you'll see that the details populate on the vendor record. I'm able to see my supplier qualification record here. The quality status updates to approve, and the next requalification date shows on the vendor. We've created 3 records to help handle the ASL. First, the manufacturer site. This tracks the specific locations where a manufacturer produces materials. For example, one manufacturer might have a site in New Jersey and another in California. This record ensures we only buy from approved sites and have all audit details on file. Next, we have the item approved manufacturer site. This links a specific item like a chemical or packaging material to an approved site. This record ensures we only buy each item from its approved site. And we have distributor mapping. This connects items purchased through distributors to their approved manufacturer sites. These three records work together to keep our supply chain compliant and fully traceable. I will navigate to my dashboard to show you how I'm easily able to keep track of my approved supplier list. Once I refresh, you'll see my vendor appears here. I'm able to also view my supplier qualification expiring approvals and the approved manufacturer sites. Now, let's see how this all comes together on a purchase order. The ASL feature adds new fields, strict validation, and a clear process to ensure every PO follows our quality rules. On the PO form, we've added fields at both the body and line levels. At the body level, you'll see vendor type and qualify status, which automatically populate when a vendor is selected. Under the Approved Supplier List subtab, you will see an emergency bypass checkbox, which, if checked, requires a deviation or kappa ID field. This ensures there's a record of why the bypass occurred and that only authorized roles like QA admin can use it. You'll see if I go to select an item here, I received the warning that no approved manufacturer site found for this item and vendor. If the item doesn't have a valid distributor mapping, the system will throw a warning message. After validation, the PO can be saved successfully with all the details. When saving, the system validates, the manufacturer site is filled in for each line, the vendor and site are not blocked and are within valid dates, an active item approved manufacturer record exists for that item and site, any emergency buy includes a valid deviation ID and proper user permissions, and if any check fails, the PO cannot be saved and the buyer sees the error message. Once materials are received, the item receipt automatically copies the manufacturer's site from the PO and links it to the lot or serial numbers for full traceability. This process ensures every purchase order uses only approved sites, unless there's an emergency purchase with proper QA approval. QA also receives reports on emergency buys, upcoming requalifications, and all changes are fully logged for audits. This wraps up our demo. Thank you for your time. We're excited about how this solution can help support your team.